So the second level of contribution you can do to the Cerebral project is to actually do design changes or add new content to the website. So to do that, you actually have to bring down the repo to your own computer, and you need to run the website so that you can see the changes you're doing. So I'm going to show you how this is done. What you can do is go to the Cerebral website and click Open Repo. And this brings you to the Cerebral mono repo, as we call it, and you click this fork button. And I'll fork this to myself. And that means you will get a copy of this repo on your GitHub account. Now I have this under my username, and I can do clone or download. So I'll copy this URL to my clipboard. So what I do is that I go to my development folder, and I'm actually going to go into my temp folder here. And what I do is I write git clone, and I paste the URL. Now this brings the repo down to your computer. And when it's done, you enter the folder and you run npm install. And you also need to run a second command, so we can just do that inline, and that's called npm run setup. Now npm install will install all the required dependencies, and npm run setup will bind all the packages together so that you can develop on them. There we go. So just make sure you have the latest version of Node and npm installed, as that may affect the success of installing and running the setup command. Okay, so what we're going to do now is to actually run the website. And the website is located under Packages, Website, and the actual website is under Builder. This is where you develop the website. And you just run npm start. And what this does is fire up a local host for you on port 3000. So if we move into the browser, and I'll refresh here, we see that I can move around on the website. So let's imagine that I wanted to add a new guide. So what I would do is open up the project. Let's see, development, temp, and where is Cerebral? There it is. And you can see there's a docs folder here. This is where we have the documentation. So if I wanted to add a new guide, I would go to guides, and I would add demo.md. And by convention, you would give it the same name. And this is just normal markdown. And you can look at the other files if you wonder how to create lists and code examples and stuff like that. But to actually bring this file into the guides, like if I refresh now, there aren't any guides about demo, because I actually have to put it into the config file of the website. So if I go to Packages, Website, and Builder, there's a config JSON file here. And this contains stuff related to adding scripts and CSS and stuff like that. So if I go to the guides here, and I will just add guides demo like this, and I should be able to refresh, and there we see we have demo. And whenever I make a change here, hello, I can just save it, and it will display correctly. So when you are done making your change, you would go out here, back to the root of the project. We can write git status to check our changes, and we'll add this, and then we need to run an npm command. So we do run npm run commit, and this will actually run a project called or a tool called Commitison. So typically when you change the documentation, you will use the docs type of change like that, and then you are supposed to choose the scope, and we actually have a scope that is called website, so you should choose that. And then you can add some description, add demo like this, and then typically you just enter through the rest of it. So now we have created a commit successfully, and we can actually push this directly to our forked repo. And when it's done, we can move to the GitHub page of our fork, and we can create a new pull request. Now what you see here is the base fork, which is the main repo of Cerebral, and then you see the head fork, which is your version of the repo. And all you need to do here is maybe verify that you have one commit and the changes, and then you click create pull request. And you can add a comment here if you want to. And when you're done, you just click create pull request. Like this is a more complicated process. You need to understand Git and stuff, but hopefully this gives you enough to do this contribution, because making the design better and also adding new content is super important for new developers to get into Cerebral, and also existing developers to solve special use cases where, in this example, a guide is very useful. So big thanks if you contribute with this kind of stuff.